G'day guys. Comment your thoughts. I don't think any are coming through, are they? No. Alright, well I'm gonna start. I don't think... Yeah, what really can we say about that, to be honest, guys? That was... If last week was the worst performance under Rats, I'd like to think that this is probably the worst performance we've had in 2 or 3 years. Just in general, since the Richo days. I wanted to leave probably midway through the third, maybe early third. And I just stuck around because I wanted to do the review and I didn't want to be one of those supporters that leaves early. But I completely understand in a game like this where the players clearly gave zero fucks on field. Why were we there? Why were we there cheering? Why do we put up with that shit? You know, and we shouldn't. And you'd think, you know, even going down by 19 points in the first quarter, you'd think a lot of the boys would be like, all right, pull your heads out. Like, we're still in this. That was a shit quarter. But the on-field leadership was lacking. There was absolutely no one, apart from Jack Steele, that can hold their head high after that performance. Just look at the damn stats. Jack Steele had 35 disposals and a goal, and 3 tackles. The next best for a Saint, guys, the next best Saint in terms of disposals was 18, and that was Zach Jones who butchered it. There was a gap of 17 disposals between Jack Steele and the next best Saint. What the hell does that tell you? We're a one-man show right now. Dan Butler, Jack Loney. There's the rest, you know, you keep going on and on. Jake Carlisle actually was half decent. He took a few intercept marks and did okay in the ruck. But apart from that, Jack Sinclair, I didn't know he was playing. Max King, Tim Membrick, he tries, but Jesus, like, we don't make it easy for ourselves. They had 100 more disposals than us. We didn't touch the ball. We didn't want to go for it. This was the same level of, you know, letdown as the North Melbourne Good Friday game a couple of years ago, and that was diabolical to say the least. And this was worse. The last 2 weeks we've conceded the opening goal within a minute, and that set the tone for the entire day. The second we go 2 goals down in a game, we put our heads down and we just don't care. Last year, I was telling my girlfriend during the game, last year we played as a team. Everyone sacrificed their, you know, flamboyant skills and their stats to better the team. It's like now everyone's playing for themselves. There's so many instances in this game alone. Just look at when Dougal Howard and someone else went for the same ball, and then Tip and Woody kicked the goal from it. They're playing selfish football now. It's all about them. They don't care about the collective. Last year was the collective. And I don't know if shorter quarters and all that stuff worked for us or we've been found out, but 2 weeks ago I said it on my live. That was one of the best away wins, best wins in general, and I was so proud to be a Saint. 2 weeks later, and you're thinking, okay, what the hell just happened in the last 2 weeks? What is going on in their heads? It's all above the shoulders. We know that they're capable. They've done it before. But within 2 weeks, we've gone from, okay, we've gone a gutsy win and now we get some players back and we play Marvel for the next 5 weeks, to holy shit. We're playing West Coast, then Richmond, then Port Adelaide in Adelaide. When is our next win coming? What do we do to improve? Essendon, to their credit, and I knew this going into the game, even though I probably didn't call it out publicly, I knew inside this is a danger game. They're going to play fast, frenetic, and, you know, they've got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose football is what I call it. They're just going all out. If they lose, it's expected, but if they win, it's going to be a shock. And Jesus, they played fast, frenetic football. They hit targets. They looked like they were a team challenging for the top 4. And they're missing their ruck. They're missing their best mid. They're missing their best backman, their forwards. Jake Stringer, I knew coming in would be a risk. And he proved it. He kicked 4 or 5 or however many. I've lost count of the amount of goals that their players kicked. But that was shambolic. And if Ratton comes out this week and says, wow, that was disappointing. You know, if the players come out and say that wasn't good enough, we need to bounce back. Boys, you said it last week. You said you'd bounce back. Rats explicitly said this wouldn't be a trend, and we'll prove it. We're proving that it is a trend now. That's 2 weeks in a row. That's, by definition, a trend. So, you guys know how I'm feeling. I was dejected. 5 minutes into the game, you could sense it. And there's no scapegoat this week. There's no one player you can pinpoint, like last week, and everyone said Brad Hill. There's no one player this week. It's literally everyone except Jack Steele. That's all I'm saying. Everyone played shit except Jack Steele. Look at the stats. Look at the on-field leadership. He kept trying. You know, I could see Tim Membry after they kicked a couple of goals in the last quarter. He was just standing there in the middle of the ground thinking, just staring at the scoreboard like he couldn't believe it. And I think all the supporters that were still there, most of them had left by then, they would be thinking the same thing. We should be the team that won by 75 points if we're serious about top 4 and top 8 in general. Now, we're 1 and 2. We've got one of the worst percentages in the league. I think if Carlton win or GWS win this week, we could potentially go to 17th on the ladder, with only North being below us. And we were mocking North yesterday after their performance against the Dogs. Now we're pretty much level with them on points. But as I also said to my partner on the way back to the car, 2 weeks ago, we were on a high. That proves how quickly football can change in 2 weeks. So hopefully in another 2 weeks, we're feeling completely the opposite, and we get Paddy Ryder back, we get Rowan Marshall back, and something changes. I don't think that having just those 2 players back is going to fix the problem, but if it does, then it really proves their importance and how critical it is to get first use in the centre. But we only had 4 less inside 50s. We only had a couple of less, I think, centre clearances. Uncontested ball, we were down by 100. They chipped it around. They played with it. That just shows the lack of pressure that we had. You know, if you're at the game today, you would have seen we gave our direct opponents a good 5 metre head start. Let them run around us. Let them run rings around us. We were witches' hats at points. And we talk about being fast. We talk about pressure footy. That's all talk at the moment. We need to take action. You know, and to add to it, Jade Gresham looks like he's got an Achilles injury, and that could put him out for the rest of the year. You know, this is one of those losses where I genuinely don't know what the fix is, you know, and I really hope Rats has an idea. But based on last week, Essendon basically just played the exact same game that Melbourne did, only, surprisingly, Essendon capitalised more. You know, it took Melbourne maybe a couple of quarters to really get the better of us. But in this game, Essendon knew from the start, you know, not to respect us. They didn't fear us. We're not feared at the moment. We don't scare teams. Teams know that if they take us on, they put our defence under pressure, the damn wall's going to break. And tonight it did, and it flooded goals for the Bombers, and their fans are up and about, rightly so, and I'm left feeling shit again for another week and hoping that we turn it around in 7 days' time against a very good team in the West Coast Eagles next week. So I'm going to leave my thoughts there. I'll go through some of your thoughts. They're not popping up on my screen, but I'm just going to grab the phone and let's go through them here, all right? Farron says there were absolutely no excuses against an undermanned Bombers. No, they were missing critical players in their team. We should have been dominating them. If we were switched on today, the scoreboard should have been the opposite, but it wasn't. We thought it was just going to happen, and I feel like last year we were the underdogs in the competition. No one backed us, and we loved that. This year there's expectation, and it feels like it's gone to the players' heads. Some of the boys just think it's going to happen, think we're going to be a good team all of a sudden, and they're not willing to put in the work to actually make it happen. Hunter says, I fear for finals. We're going to be 1-5 in 3 weeks. Jeez. Susan says, turned the game off halfway through the first quarter. Honestly, guys, I go with my uncle every week. He went downstairs in standing room because he couldn't stand it. And then a couple of Essendon supporters came, took those seats and sat right next to me, and that just added to the shitness of the day. Time to say how it is. Exactly right, Bobby. I was saying that before, that I was going to go through every player and give them a pass mark. But honestly, when I looked at the stats after the game, they're all shit except Jack Steele. Basic. The captain led from the front. No one followed. Season is done. That's from Sean. I wouldn't go that far. Like I said, a lot can bounce back and a lot can change in a couple of weeks. But yeah, melts, firmly understandable after a performance like that. Andrew says iron, then we'll go. Peter says you support in thick and thin times, good and bad. Exactly right. I know that some supporters are just going to turn the tally off and not watch us for a few weeks, but you got to turn out every week because things can change very fast. Right now, I'm living in the moment, and the moment's pretty shit, and the boys deserve to get, the heat. It's hard to tell if Rats set up in a way that we didn't capitalize on today, or there was instructions to play a certain way to get the chocolates, and the boys didn't listen, and I'm leaning towards that. I don't want to go all out on Rats just yet, but clearly something's going wrong between the ears. They're just not switched on at the moment. Damien says, I don't know if they need to be severely punished or if they need love and support, but no one other than Steele and maybe Billings and Membry played with heart. That's exactly right. I can take a loss. If we busted our gut, if we had a loss in round 1, it would have been okay because we busted our gut. Turns out we won. But the next 2 weeks, we've played like we're rock stars and we think it's just going to happen, and no one has played with heart apart from a couple of players. That's the most disappointing thing. I can take a 10-goal loss if we busted our gut and it just didn't work out. Last week there were some excuses and I provided them during the week. Now I kind of regret that because it feels like they took it on board. They thought, well, last week we were just tired. This week it'll just work. It doesn't just work. If you're 5-10% off, you're going to get done. Even against teams like Essendon and North Melbourne, you'll get done. If we play like this against North, I'm telling you now, it's not going to be a win. We will not get close. If you're a true supporter, you do not give up. Yeah, exactly right. But at the same time, if you're a true supporter, you're allowed to criticise the boys. If you can't criticise them during these times, you never can. Is Zach Jones okay to play next week? That's from Darren. I'm not sure. I don't know if he picked up an injury or not. We'll see about that. This is from Kath. It's not good enough. That was a weak effort. Yep. Mitchell says, we know we have to lose here and there, but it's pathetic to lose just like that. I agree. You're happy to lose. Even Richmond had a bad loss today, but you have a feeling Richmond are going to bounce back. They're that sort of team, and I thought we were too. Last year, we bounced back from a lot of losses. This year, so far, no. Brad Crouch ran around in circles. Yeah, hard game for him to make his debut in, honestly, but he did not do his job. But yeah, again, he wasn't the only person. It's contagious. When 1 or 2 players play shit, it's funny how quickly it spreads. The second a few players hit targets, I would not be surprised to see us just start playing the way we know we can play. Does Rats ever yell at the players, you reckon? That's from Marcus. What do you reckon? It's my partner here. What do you reckon? Does he yell at the players or not?
Well, I think generally no, but I had a feeling that he wouldn't let it go today. I reckon he'd give it to him.
Rats is awesome, and I rate him very highly, as you guys know. But if he takes this on, and he just gives them a couple of pats on the back, and he doesn't get serious about them and drop a few blokes, then that's question marks for me. He needs to make a statement with a few players. He did with Ben Long today. And Ben Long ended up playing because of the Jade Gresham injury, but you've got to put the heat on the players now. I was even thinking, Rats, don't even say anything after the game. Put Jack Steele in front of the group and ask Jack Steele, Jack, how many of these boys stood up today? How many of these boys made you proud that you're a Saints player, that stood up for you in your 100th game? And I want Jack Steele to say, none of you boys stood up for me or what this club stands for and made the supporters proud. You know, that was embarrassing. That's what I want the captain to say. They need to be able to talk openly about these games, not put it under the rug and say, God, it just wasn't our day, was it? That bullshit football cliche. They need to all look at each other and say, Dukes, you made some fucking shit mistakes today, mate. but I'm backing you to bounce back. King, you played selfishly today. Brett Hill, 2 weeks in a row, not your best 2 weeks in your career. Bounce back. Loney, you do that again next week, you dropped. If you're not dropped this week, that is, I want them to have heart-to-hearts. We're getting to that point now where if we want to be a good team, you don't go 3 or 4 weeks and then address the issues. You address them the second you see them. Otherwise, the season's gone. 1-5 and the season's done. You can't make top 4 there, and top 8's a stretch. Especially with the draw that we have. These were the winnable games. GWS, Melbourne, Essendon. We all knew going into the year with the next 3 weeks that we've got, you needed to be 2-1 or 3-0. To be 1-2 after beating GWS and then losing to Melbourne and Essendon in consecutive weeks, playing the same shit footy, that's the worst part of it all. This one's from Tyrone. Bullshit effort. Nathan says Crouchy was out all night on the coke, and I'm not even going to finish that sentence. We need to drop this bombing style we've developed. That's from Buster. Yeah, it's like we've just got, like I said, we've gotten a bit arrogant. We think we're just going to bomb it and our smalls are going to do the work. Right now, Jack Higgins kicked 2 or 3 today. Loney did stuff all, and Dan Butler didn't see him at all today. That's the only time I've seen Dan Butler is when he got awarded a dubious free kick against GWS and kicked the goal. Apart from that, haven't seen him. Oh man, so many some of these comments. We're so inconsistent, we'll likely win against West Coast. That's from Christopher. I thought that in the last quarter. I was thinking classic Saints. We'll dodge a bullet, we'll get pumped today, and then and we'll come out against West Coast and maybe Richmond and put on a performance. That's classic Saints shit. And that's what's most disappointing, is that lack of inconsistency. We've struggled with consistency the last couple of years, and it looks like it's back. Where's our so-called depth? Garbage. We overrated ourselves. That's from Guy. Rom says, last week Rat spoke about the group responding and that it's not a trend, it's time for action. Look to the Crows and Swans as an example. Good point. How did 22 All-Australians lose to the Bombers? That's from Andrew. Funny comment there, mate. That's how Dan Butler made his name. Umpire free kicks. What else we got? The whole midfield group got their pants pulled down. Yep, Merritt, McGrath, Parrish, they all made us look second rate. They made us look slow. They used the ball better. They worked harder, and they got the reward. And you're never going to win a game when you don't put in the effort. And we didn't put in the effort today, and we got what we deserved. I genuinely wanted us to lose by 100 points in the last quarter, because at that point you're like, we kick a couple of junk time goals and it's like, what's that for? It's meaningless. I'd rather us lose badly and that forces some serious change and some action than to think, oh, well, geez, we left it a bit late and, if only we did that in the start of the second quarter, we could have won that game. That sort of honourable loss mentality. This one's from Lachlan. Richmond had this game against us in 2017 and today against the Swans. Also, Geelong had it in round 1. Every team has this, but the good teams bounce back, unlike Melbourne in 2019. Yep. But we'll see. If we don't bounce back next week, again, that adds to this. But I don't want to lose and just assume that this was our 2017 Richmond moment where we get pumped and, it inevitably turns into a premiership tilt at the end of the year and it's a learning curve. I know it's only round 3. It's a long season. We've got 19 games to go. A lot can change in those 19 games. But you've got to take it week on week. And so far the last 2 weeks have been the most disappointing 2 weeks of Brett Ratton's reign at the St Kilda Footy Club. Expectation has overwhelmed them. That'd be interesting. Has it got to our heads? Have the boys really just, drank their own bathwater and really thought, shit, we're good, And they've lost that edge to push, to run, to play as a team. That's what separated us from a lot of the better skilled teams last year, was we worked harder than them. The disappointing thing and the scary thing is if we don't work harder than the better skilled teams, they're going to cut you up. And if a team like Essendon with a lot of missing players cuts you up when you're not trying, wait till you play a team like West Coast or Port Adelaide in Adelaide in a few weeks. That's when you're really going to be tested. How much difference will Marshall or Ryder coming back make to the team? That's from Nick. I hope it makes a difference where you don't lose to Essendon by 12 goals again. That would be nice. This is from Kenny. Coaches got cute dropping Hunter. Carlisle McKernan combo got flogged. At least with Hunter, Rovers knew what was going on, even if he lost the tap. No, I don't agree with you there, mate. Dropping Paul Hunter, a 2-gamer from the Sandful, to fill a void where from missing Ryder and Marshall. He was not the difference between us beating Essendon today and losing to Essendon today. That's absolutely no. I'm not accepting that. The boys we had a good enough team to be a top 6 team today on paper, and we lost to a team that's expected to be bottom 4. Can't even get up and about for your captain's 100th. Woeful. I know, 2 weeks in a row, we've had big reasons to win. And, I'm sweating just talking about it. Jesus. And we've let the team down. Spud's game last week. Jack Steele's 100th. Hunter Clark's 50th. Where's the heart, That's all we ask for. Just bloody try. Dunstan needs to play next week. That's from Guy. Useless. That's from Ben. Brad Hill needs to go to Sandy. That's from Tom. Worst performance ever by the Saints. I wouldn't go that far, but I'd say it's the worst performance in the last 3 or 4 years. That's for sure. Collins says, Jack Steele, the only saner in a group of sinners, proves the club did the right thing making him captain. Yeah, but what about everyone else? We know what you know what you're going to get from Jack Steele every week. The fact that he dishes a performance like today up in a losing side, in a badly losing side, shows how good he is and how proud he is. He just keeps trying. Also, fun fact, Tony's just said Josh Bruce wouldn't piss on St Kilda, got to be gone to a real side. I wouldn't say that, but it's just embarrassing to think that Josh Bruce kicked more goals than us, I think, this week, or he kicked about the same amount. Marcus says we shouldn't pay memberships to support this. We need to have the courage to single out this out as not good enough. Hope he reads our comments on official pages. We will not ever improve like this. I agree. Like, even when Saints posted before, their caption was we didn't respond. I had to reply to that, and all I just said was no shit. No shit, we didn't respond. Good on them for posting. I mean, they're going to cop it every time they post in the next week, but no shit, we didn't respond. Typical Saints, whenever the media hypes us, we flounder. That's from Al. Yep. Whenever we get 1 ounce of, decent media coverage, which is rare, we just stuff it up, and then we justify why the media doesn't support us. I say during the podcast, and anytime we win, the media don't make a big deal. It's because we dish up shit like this. That's it. They know we're not consistent. Witches hats the whole game. That's from Matt. Agreed. We're fucked. That's from Paul. My dad told me when I was young, never tip St Kilda. Buster says, to make things worse, the only bad team we had to play twice this year was Sydney, and now they're basically premiership favourites, and they're 3-0 and just beat Richmond pretty comfortably at the MCG. So, yeah, every game for us is a winnable game, but it's also one that we can badly lose. That's what this form proves, is that every game now, until the end of the season, needs to be treated like a grand final. We cannot go in playing with the mentality that it's just going to happen and taking our opponents lightly, because we're going to get done. We're going to get done. And that, you'd think a Saints team would know that. We don't have the respect or the... we don't have the wins under our belt, the premierships, mind you, under our belt, to take it lightly. We've had to fight every single year to be relevant in the AFL. So you'd think our players would know more than anyone. Don't take it for granted. Don't take any sort of good form for granted, and just fight every ball like it's your last, And they just gave up today. They just gave up. This is a good comment. This is from Michelle. Number 1, Jake, thank you for putting up with our crap week in, week out. Someone's got to do it, guys, and I know you all agree with me, and that's the point of this channel, to vent in the shit times, to celebrate in the good times. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, we're venting. But, you know, honestly, I don't know how it affects you guys, but it makes me be able to process losses a lot better, knowing that people agree with me and I'm not alone trying to deal with this shit. So hopefully you guys agree there as well. Number 2, that by far was the biggest load of bullshit footy I've seen in my lifetime of being a passionate Saints member / supporter. Number 3, before you all go commending one player for busting his gut, it's actually the same as blaming one for losing. 4, it's a freaking team sport that takes passion, effort, commitment, strength, resilience, bravery, skill, collaboration, and smarts. 5, we are not a team. 6, I am out. Yeah. I mean, I've already had a few people unfollow me on Instagram. I think they think that I'm the actual club or something. So guys, don't unfollow me. I'm not the club. I'm on your side. I'm here to point, to share the fan view when the club won't do that. So this is the place where you come to and you get to vent and you get to comment and we can discuss what the hell's going on with the footy club. It's all about their attitude. That's from Garen. Yep, it's all above their heads. We know that they've got it in their locker to play good footy. They're just not confident. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in their teammates. That's the worst thing. They do not trust their teammates to get the job done. And that article that the club posted last week, if you remember, was all about teamwork. And if we don't have trust in our teammates, then what are we? And guess what? They did not trust their teammates today. They didn't back themselves. Ryan says, I left at halftime. First time ever. They didn't give a shit except for Steele and Membry. The rest are a bloody disgrace. Max King is lazy and has no idea about leading routes. Just stands there and puts his hand up. Very lazy and needs to be dropped. We won't win another game. Yeah, tough one there. What can you say, Jake? This one's from Elaine. What can you say, Jake? You must be disappointed. I know it's early days, but they need to start playing as a team and not as individuals. They are all capable, so what's going on? This one's from Dean. We are fucked, Jake. Too many hopeless rejects. We're missing a lot of players. It's all the same, guys. At the end of the day, oh, what's this? Mary, gotta call this one out. Enough with your negative crap. We don't need your comments. You do it to make money. Stop it. Are you kidding me, Mary? Mary, you and I go way back. Come on. That's bullshit. Eddie's jumped in and said you're irrelevant, so leave. I don't make money from this. This is just a channel where I can just share my passion after a loss, get it off my chest, chat with fellow Sainers, support the club that we love in the good times, in the bad times. If you can't take the heat, jog on. That's the same with the boys, the players out there. If you can't take the heat about, you know, the heat that goes with trying to be a good team, you don't belong in that team. If you're there to be a middle table team, 6 to 10, get a few wins during the year, not make finals, pick up your paycheck and move on, you're not a Saints player. We want to be a successful team. So if you're not willing to put in the work, you can piss off as well. And so can you, Mary. So thanks for the comment. I'm sure I'll make $1 from that, so I appreciate that. Shane says we need to make changes. Sinclair, Loney, Long, Butler, Battle all need to be dropped. Yeah, I honestly, Sinclair probably does. But yeah, it's hard to... I don't know if you can go into a game against West Coast dropping 4 or 5 players, you know? That throws consistency and coherency out the window. Don't waste your time, champ. One player worth a mention only. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, guys, I might wrap it. All these comments are pretty much the same. I know you all want to spend Easter with your family, and I appreciate you guys tuning in, even if you've got family commitments and taking the time to listen to me rant and to rant with me. I'm sorry that the club played the way they did today. I'm probably the only person that's going to apologise that isn't from the club, and you'd love for Jack Steele to jump on a Facebook Live right now and in the rooms and say, you know what, that wasn't good enough, guys. That was shit, but, you know, the club's not going to do that. They're going to keep it under wraps. They're going to play it quiet. Rats is going to come out and say, well, that wasn't good enough. We're going to work hard on the track. We're going to respond, this and that. Same shit that they did last week. But at the end of the day, and I said this before the game, it's all talk until you fucking make action. You do it. Stop talking, get the job done. Last year, we didn't talk during the season. We just did the job. this year we're pumping up our own tires and it's backfiring big time. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, putting up with me after a loss. I know it's not easy watching, and it's not easy to read everyone else's comments and to take on the negativity after such a shit performance. But it is what it is. Hopefully next week we can bounce back. It's going to be a long week, but enjoy the long weekend. Just focus on that. Try to put this in the rearview mirror. Forget about it. Enjoy family time. That's more important. Enjoy your Easter. And take care, guys. And again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. So until next week, when we preview the West Coast game, have a great Easter, guys, and I'll chat to you soon. Go Saners.